What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yugioh Sevens video. Now today is going to be kind of a little bit of a different video for Yugioh Sevens, as today I'm going to be giving off my first ever theory, not only for Yugioh Sevens, but actually on this channel. I have never really done a theory video. I'm not a person that normally speculates on stuff. I love doing it with my friends and stuff like that, but I don't really do it myself. But today we are going to be doing a pretty crazy theory. But before we get into this theory, I want to quickly mention something. Of the time of this recording, Yugioh Sevens is on another hiatus. From what I found out, episode 10 will not be airing. Actually, by the time I'm recording this, it actually didn't get released today. I literally just found this out yesterday, of the time of this recording, which was on Friday, that Yugioh Sevens will not be airing. They're going on another hiatus. Now, I'm not going to talk about why. It could be something to do with Corona, although I think it has died down enough. I don't think it is. I think they're just like trying to get back into the swing of things. Like, I feel like, okay, they just need a little bit of a break. Like, they basically spanned the whole month trying to get back in, and like, they kind of came back a little bit early, and I don't think they were just ready to do it. So I think they just needed to take a little bit of break, try to regroup it all, and try to get back into the flow of things. And yeah, I think that's just all what it's going to be. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. Today is going to be all about this theory that I'm going to say this is probably the weirdest theory that I've made, but I have found so many good points to this that I'm hoping that this comes true. Today I'm going to be talking about the Millennium Items being in Yugioh Sevens and Mr. Goha, the main antagonist of Season 1, is actually the man, the myth, the legend, the king of games himself, Yugi Moto. I know that sounds really far-fetched, but I'm going to give my thoughts on why I think this is the case, so let's get into it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this weird video. So before we get into the main topic of this video, which is the Mr. Goha is Yugi Moto thing, let's talk about the Millennium Items, because the Millennium Items are actually going to further expand the idea of this theory, so let's get talk about it. For people that don't know what the Millennium Items were, they were an important relic to the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. I mean, Yugi Moto and Yami Yugi were connected by the Millennium Puzzle, and then you have the other ones like the Millennium Necklace, the Millennium Rod, and the Millennium Ring, to name a few. And ever since the Dark Side of the Dimensions movie that we got in, I believe, 2016, I could be wrong about that, someone can quote me on that, but we haven't seen them since then when Kaiba was trying to rebuild the puzzle and stuff like that. Now, I want to make the assumption that I think the Millennium Puzzles, the Millennium, not just the Millennium Puzzle, but the Millennium Items are going to be in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7. Now, know that sounds a little bit weird, as no other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series has actually mentioned the Millennium Items. I think maybe GX might have added. They might have talked about it, but I don't really know. I don't remember it. I never watched the sub, so I don't know if they talked about it. I don't remember them talking about it in the dub. But they don't really talk about the Millennium Items, and we haven't really seen it for a long time now, and there actually is going to be one point in this video. I'm going to wait until I talk about the Yugi Moto theory that I have, which will actually combine all of this together later on, but I do believe the Millennium Items are going to be in this series. So let me explain my first reason. If you look in the title of Yugioh Sevens, the whole kind of theme about this is around the number 7. I mean, we have the dual disc literally being the number 7. And then you kind of have like the 7 versus 6 kind of thing, as it seems like Goha is really focused around the number 6 for some reason. I don't know what the whole trope with that is. That is just something I noticed. So that's where I'm thinking, like, with there being 7 Millennium Items, I think they can fit well pretty well in this show, to be honest with you guys. Now, if I believe if I believe the Millennium Items are in this show, who is gonna have the Millennium Items? I mean, like, we haven't seen it, and how would they find the Millennium Items and what all that stuff? And I'm gonna tell you, this is gonna go off the rails. I'm basically gonna be telling a story about this, but I'm gonna say this: I believe that the 6 members of Top of Hexagon and Mr. Gohan himself have the Millennium Items. With there being 7 Millennium Items and basically 7 higher people at Goha Corp, I feel like it makes sense. With the 6 top hexagon characters, which includes Mimi and then the other 5 that we have not been introduced yet, it would make sense for them to have the other 6 Millennium items. As for which ones they would go to, I don't know. We only know of Mimi's character, and by the way, I think Mimi would have the Millennium necklace just because of her being the only girl, assumedly, in this show, and there was only one female that had a Millennium item, which was the Shizu Ishtar from the original Yu-Gi-Oh. She had the Millennium necklace, so I think she can have it and then give it up to the other random people. Now, and here's where it actually starts getting to the other theory. So there's 6 Millennium items that I just said. Who would have the 7th Millennium item? I believe that Mr. Goha has the main Millennium item, the Millennium puzzle. I believe Mr. Goha has this Millennium item. Now, this is where I'm going to start to get off the rails on this, so bear with me if this sounds really far-fetched, but I think this storyline is going to be really interesting, so let's get into it. So, I'm going to say this, I do believe that Yugi Moto is Mr. Goha, and this story that I'm about to tell is going to explain the reason of why he is running basically the entire city, because Mr. Goha basically runs the entire Goha city. And you might be thinking, like, why would Yugi want to rule over the city? Because if you remember from the Dark Side Adventures movie, if you watched it, Yugi wanted to create his own games and basically have a game for everyone to play. And why would he go from that to this? Well, this is going to be really far-fetched, but if you kind of look at it, it kind of will make sense a little bit. I believe that Yugi Moto is possessed right now. I think the lovable guy that we all knew, Yugi Moto, was possessed. And this isn't the first time that he was possessed before. He was possessed by the seal Orichalcos in Season 4. Now, I know that was the Tem and all that stuff, but it's not like it's been the first time that Yugi's ever been possessed. But now, how would he be possessed? I don't think it's the seal Orichalcos. That would just be way too far-fetched, and I don't think they would be that creative to go into that, although that would be amazing. I believe that Yugi got corrupted by the Millennium Ring. Now, I know this is a really weird thing to go off because I don't think Yugi really ever got possessed by the Millennium Ring. If you guys remember, the Millennium Ring was owned by Bakura, and Bakura was crazy, or at least Yami Bakura was. He always was trying to go after the Pharaoh to take his Millennium Puzzle, or at least that was in the dub. I believe he just wanted to eliminate Merrick wanted to eliminate the Pharaoh. I think he just wanted to become the Pharaoh. But, oh no, that was Merrick. Never mind. I can't remember the story. All it is, he just wanted to take the Millennium Puzzle. And he would do all these major things. He even can put darkness into a piece of the Millennium Puzzle because, remember, he basically took a piece after Bandit Keats shattered it in Season 2, and he took it and put the darkness from the Millennium Ring into the piece and was able to go inside the Millennium Puzzle himself. Now, I'm going to take that a step further. I think some character in this, maybe someone from Top of Hexagon, ended up having to do a search, and like he was part of the actually, you know what? Here's where I was going to go into. I forgot I was about to skip this. I believe Kaiba Court was the beginning one of this, and I believe someone from Kaiba Court. Now, I know we haven't mentioned Kaiba in this video yet, but there is some tropes with Kaiba, so this theory can work out as well. I believe that Goha Corp wasn't Goha Corp from the very beginning. I feel like it was still the Kaiba Corp that we all knew and loved. And basically what happened was someone from Kaiba Corp went searching for the Millennium Puzzle himself because he heard the rumors and all that stuff. And he finds the Millennium Ring, because we don't even know what happened to the Millennium Ring after the series. If you want to even take it a step further, that one of the people from the crowds, if you want to, found the Millennium Ring and got possessed by it. And this is going to get really far-fetched, but I love this idea. He goes into this shop. Yugi Moto just calls it Goha. Maybe that's the next game that they decided he was going to create. And he was working on it, and this guy comes in, and he talks to Yugi, and he goes and finds the Millennium Puzzle. Like, it was all built, it didn't get shattered or anything like that. Or, you can say shattered, and because the darkness, or like Yami Bakura's spirit, was in the Millennium Puzzle before, maybe he gained the knowledge to solve it, so he resolved the Millennium Puzzle and gave it to Yugi as a present. But with a twist, he put the darkness inside of the Millennium Puzzle. If you remember, the darkness kind of fused with the Millennium Cube thing that Agami had in the movie, which turned him into this evil, like, terrifying beast. And he did this. I feel like he did the same thing with the Millennium Puzzle when he gave it to him. He gave it to Yugi, and Yugi realized that he had the Millennium Puzzle back, and he's like, "How you found this?" and all that stuff. And then the darkness completely devours him. Like, he is now possessed by Yami Bakura. And you know what he goes next? He wants to take over the entire world, basically. So what ends up happening is that he needs to find a way to be able to stop, because what I believe is that the Millennium Ring basically wants to take over the world and stuff like that, and he can't beat Kaiba on his own. So who is the only one that could really beat Kaiba? Yugi Moto himself. So he uses Yugi to go and defeat Seto Kaiba, because you guys know Kaiba has lost to Yugi numerous times. Sure, he did win against him, but he kind of threatened himself that he would die if he basically won the duel, so I don't even want to count that one. But Yugi has beaten him so many times. Who better would it be to defeat him and take over his company than Yugi? I believe they have a duel off screen. The possessed Yugi wins and basically takes over it, and they decided to name it Goha because that was the new game they were doing. And like, they basically, maybe the name of the past Yami Bakura was actually Gohan. You never know. I don't know what they actually said his name, but maybe in the new world they don't want him to be known that. Like, they want to keep his identity secret, so they call him by Goha, and they don't want them to know that he's Yugi, because you know that would cause a lot of controversy, because Yugi is a famous player. Like, he's been known to, from the words to speak out. He's known throughout the dueling community. He is known to be the king of games. And now that if they find out that he's trying to become this ruler over the city, I think it would just cause a lot of controversy with people around the world. And I know that doesn't make sense. I mean, you think people would love to be under Yugi, but he doesn't want to be known by Yugi. He wants to be known by itself, or Bakura, whatever you want to call it, like whatever you want to call this darkness, Goha. So he basically cloaks himself in this like black uniform, basically a Darth Vader uniform, and basically is now the new ruler of Kaiba Corporation, and basically Kaiba, or Domino City, or Neo Domino City, or whatever you want to call it. We can call it from the 5Ds era if you really want to call it that. So they decided to call it Goha in terms of him. And this is where everything starts to change. He starts to get into the forms of technology and stuff with these robots that Kaiba Corp was creating, and basically makes it his own thing. And that's why you see, like, most adults these days are not around. It's all run by these robots. So in terms like that, it would make sense of why they're disappearing, is because this Mr. Goha character, or Yugi Moto, that we're going to say, built these robots and now are basically taking over this world. And they wouldn't know that. They might think that Yugi went off somewhere and they haven't heard from him since. Like, no one has heard from him. And except for Seto Kaiba. But I'm going to get into that in a different theory video, so because there's a whole storyline that I made with this, thinking about it over the last few days. So this is going to be an insane journey that I make this, but let's get off of it. But basically, he creates these robots, he takes over the world, and he's known today as the president and CEO of Goha, and basically Goha City, and now he basically rules over the world. I will say this though, that would be the most insane storyline I have ever seen in a Yu-Gi-Oh history, and that would be phenomenal. Now, that I know that might sound far-fetched, you guys may be thinking, well, what proof do you have? Why would you think that Yugi would be in the show? Because Yugi has not appeared in the show since actually GX. Technically, if you follow it series-wise, he hasn't popped up since GX. But GX, he didn't even really appear in GX. It kind of was the older version of Yugi, yeah, but he dueled him more in the past, I feel like. But Honestly, it was really since GX. Now kind of thinking about it more, I keep forgetting that it wasn't the past self. The past self was just a duel, but or in the he dueled him in the past. But Yugi was actually a thing during the GX period. Getting off topic, um, we haven't seen him since then, so bringing him here would be a really cool cameo. But he hasn't appeared since then, so why would you think that? There is actually two reasons why I think this can work. First off, we've seen Blue Eyes White Dragon already in the series, and we know that Dark Magician is getting printed in the Rush Duel format. It would make the most sense for Yugi Moto himself to use Dark Magician because he is the original Dark Magician user. Now, I know Arcana used it, but honestly, we all know that Yugi and Dark Magician, they're are the tightest bonds ever. I feel like no one would use Dark Magician better than Yugi himself. There is no way that I can see it. And I think I feel like that would be the greatest way to be able to bring him back with his Rush Duel card is Yugi. Yugi is the only one that can use Dark Magician, I feel like. And having a duel between Yuga and Sevens Rogue Magician and Dark Magician and Yugi just sounds like a mouth-watering duel, let's be honest. And I think that they really are going that route. And here's for the second reason why. This is where it ties everything together. If you remember when this show was getting announced, they literally said that this show was going to honor the 20th anniversary of Yu-Gi-Oh! What better way to do it than to bring back Yugi Moto himself and bring back, like, they brought forms of Seto Kaiba in the form of Hologram Man, and they brought back Blue Eyes White Dragon. What better way to do it than bring in Yugi Moto? I mean, they've changed some stuff with how they did the series, because Blue Eyes basically got obliterated. Like, he didn't even stand a chance against Seven Magician, and some people saying they're dishonoring it and saying this way they're basically disgracing it. I don't think so. I feel like if they go down this route, I think it would be a good way to grow the character of Yuga, because they mentioned the King of Games and stuff like that. What better way to bring the King of Games himself, Yugi, and make it like this tragic thing, and they say the King of Games, and maybe the ceremonial duel is actually a non-possessed Yugi versus Yuga, and they basically go for the King of Games. Like, kind of like how Jaden and Yuki dueled in Season 4 on the final episode. Now, I would love it for it to be a not a no result, but an actual, like, win between the two. But that would be so awesome, and that would be, honestly, the best way to incorporate them. Now, I know saying Yugi is Mr. Goha and staying a stretch, I feel like he would be more of the character to help him, but it would bring the Millennium Items back and bring out a story that honestly has never been done like that before. Now, we know, like, characters have been possessed before, but, like, in a form like this would just be incredible. I feel like the only time we really had this is what Zark was the only time, but being able to bring back the Millennium Items that we haven't seen in a very, very long time, and bring in Yugi Moto, and maybe even bring in Seto Kaiba. As I said in this theory, Seto Kaiba was in this series. Now, maybe he basically obliterated, he killed Seto Kaiba. I don't know. You can put it either way you want to. I don't think he did. I think he might have had willpower, but then the Millennium Ring finally fully consumed him, and now he is not control anymore. And I know you can also say, like, well, the VA isn't Yugi Moto's VA, so why not? It could be like a voice modulator. I mean, he's in that mask, and he's not known to the world, so it would be perfect. I mean, there's so many ways you can implement Yugi into this that I feel like it's just a missed opportunity if they don't do it. But I think that's all I'm going to explain in this. There is some more stuff that I want to explain in a different theory video that I'm not going to explain into this, because I don't want this to be long. I think we're about at the 20-minute mark, if I'm thinking correctly. We should be at 20 minutes or something like that. I don't know, but guys, I'm going to end this video off here. I'm kind of rambling on a little bit, but guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this theory, because this is probably one of the weirdest ideas that I've ever had, but this is one of the coolest topics to bring up, and if Yugi becomes the main antagonist of the show, I think this would be a good opportunity to bring older fans back, because I feel like a lot of people dropped it after the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, or even when Sevens came. I think bringing back Yugi Moto would bring so many people to the community. Now, it might turn off some people now that Yugi is an antagonist, but I wouldn't be turned off, because if you think about it, it gives a whole new perspective to Yugi that we've never seen before. We haven't seen him possessed since the Seal Ori Calcos, even though it was that one duel. Having him possessed by the Millennium Ring would bring back so many memories from the original series and so many concepts back then, and I think that would be so cool to bring that stuff back. Now, do I think it is the case? I honestly think that this is probably the biggest far-fetched thing I've ever said in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think this is going to happen at all, if I'm being honest. But I'm going to say this, and I don't know if Studio Bridge is watching this, but someone shout out Studio Bridge and get them to come to this video, because if you guys are trying to get an idea for Mr. Goha and you want to get some people back in this series, I'm telling you, you bring back the Millennium Items and do this insane plot twist that Yugi Moto is the main antagonist, he is Mr. Goha, would be insane. I feel like a lot of people would be interested to see the development of how this happened and all that stuff. And that's why I want to explain in another theory video, because this could make a whole season worth. That would be probably the biggest and the best season or series ever. If you want to extend this to 2 seasons, because I feel like I've heard rumors that this is going to be a short anime, but I feel like if you do this concept in these 2 seasons, you might got yourself a masterpiece, dude. You might have the best Yu-Gi-Oh ever. Honestly, because you bring back the original group and bring this major twist, and you bring these characters to save the king of games himself, I think would just be such a cool idea. But that's all we have to see. I'm hoping that this theory comes true. I think this would be amazing. I doubt it is, but I think this would be cool. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. This is definitely the biggest thing that I have on my channel, because it's probably gonna be a video that gonna be a lot of criticism for, but I can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts about this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your guys' theories down below if you have some theories you guys want me to talk about as well. With the whole hiatus that's going on in Yugioh Sevens, I think this will be a perfect time to get some early theories in there as well, and try to get an idea of where this story can be leading down to. I mean, we're getting into Roa Kirishima coming into the story, so, or at least I hope he is in episode 10, because at the time of recording, we are at a hiatus at episode 10. That was where we stopped. Well, we stopped at episode 9, but episode 10 is the next episode that's going to be coming out, so I'm going to be waiting patiently for that, and I'm going to be trying to think of different theories. This theory was brought to me, and I actually have his name, so I want to give a massive shout out to username Celtic for giving me this idea. He originally gave me an idea of theme Yugioh Sevens, like the name is Yugioh Sevens, the 7 Millennium Items, where would they might be. But we kind of had a conversation in the comments section below, and it bloomed into this video. And I want to give him a big shout out for that. I don't think I would have ever came up with this theory without his help. So massive shout outs to you, dude. Thank you so much for this video idea. And if you guys have any other video suggestions that you guys want to see, again, I would love to do any type of video that you guys want to see on Yu-Gi-Oh. I want you guys to give me something even crazier than this that you want me to talk about. I mean, this is a fun series to do. I didn't think I would have much fun with making this theory, but there are so many things that popped in my head that this made it so much fun to do, and I would love to do more theory videos or do more kind of discussions like this. So if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know down in the comments below. But I have wasted enough of you guys' time. I know you guys want to just start spamming down in the comments below how, like, oh, this is the weirdest theory video I've ever heard, or like giving your own theories. I can't wait to see how this blows up down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys later, and until next time, guys, take care, be safe, And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.